Hey there, MYP students. I know that there's probably still some people getting on, so we will kick things off here in just a sec. I know that we have the Padlet link, and so lots of people have been putting some questions in, and we'll go over all the questions that you have, and then we'll share some additional information because I want everybody to know what's going on for our start to hybrid, and also for the folks who are still doing CDL. So we'll just go ahead and start taking these questions one by one. I think one of the things I'm going to do is share a piece with you, which is kind of like a little schedule explainer that we did earlier in the year. And we'll come back to this because this answers some of those questions. But we are going to be doing hybrid and CDL. So all middle school students will be in comprehensive distance learning still. So much of your daily schedule is going to stay very similar for that. The people doing hybrid are going to come Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So 4 days a week. And they're going to have 2 periods a day with a transition in between. So you're still going to start at 8:45. You're going to be doing what you've been doing. You're going to have 3 classes a day in CDL. And then in the afternoon, people who come for hybrid will have 2 classes. People who stay in CDL will do what they've been doing, work on assignments and that kind of thing. And so that's still going to be the same. The difference is now Wednesday, we're going to have, basically it's going to be kind of the office hour day because teachers are going to be teaching CDL in the morning and they're going to be doing hybrid in the afternoon. They're not going to have the same office hour times that they did in the past. So, and they'll be connecting with folks around this, but I just want to make sure that everybody has, clear heads up on that one. And so Wednesdays will be mostly asynchronous work time, and there'll be an office hour chunk that we'll be sharing with folks. We're going to try and keep the special schedule the same though, so that you'll still be able to have those specials during that time. And we'll clarify all that with folks too. But so you can see there's no more alternating Fridays. So it's going to be Monday is periods 1, 3, and 5 in CDL. Tuesdays periods 2, 6, and 7. Thursdays, same thing. So you've got that the piece that you had before where you had your regular Thursday and Friday schedule. It's now just not alternating. So that's what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and I share that schedule with you to just give people some clarity around that. And I'm going to pop the Padlet up here and we'll just go through that. It says, well, we have recess periods. So this is really, really particular, and I want to make sure that we get this down, which is we're going to have a transition and it's going to include a break, but it's definitely not going to be like our normal recess. So in the past, you guys would be able to go out to recess, go down to lunch, and then go outside to recess. But what we're going to be doing now is everybody's going to be wearing their masks, including Mr. Keefer. I'm not doing it now because it's a little harder for you to hear me, but we'll all be masked We'll be socially distanced. Your classes are set up that way, and we'll we're going to go outside together. So everybody in the MYP is going to go outside. We're going to have in between the two periods that we have hybrid in the afternoon, people are going to go outside, get a little break, and then switch teachers. So your classes are all going to be in the same room, and the teachers are going to switch. So if you had Mr. Massey for the first class, Mr. Massey is going to take you outside, and then your next teacher is going to come to you, and then you're going to go back to the same classroom that you were in. So just to be really clear, which is definitely a different thing. I know middle schoolers are used to doing things on their own in terms of getting to and from places, but with all the rules around social distancing and cohort interactions and stuff, we have to manage that. So everybody is waiting outside. So there's kind of two ways this is going to work. One is if you have a class on the inside, and we'll share that with folks, you will go to the back middle school doors by the lockers. You will check in there, and basically we do something called a visual screening, which is just we look to see you're good, and then you get some hand sanitizer, we make sure you got your mask on, and then you come in socially distanced in the hallways and you head straight to class. We're not hanging out. We're also not using the lockers. That's not something we're going to be doing. Everybody is at the same time. So PYP and MYP are both in the same time in terms of like when it's happening. And so, that's the 12:15 to 2:30 is the hybrid schedule for the school. And so that's something that we're going to do. I'm going to I'm going to try and do these in order so that we can make sure we get them. We answered the recess one. The school's open, and it's a good question, but it's, in terms of like people being able to go inside, but there's just going to be limited reasons with us not doing lunch and not doing recess. We're not eating in school. We're only having 2 periods. There's not going to be a lot of reasons for people to be walking around, but obviously if people need to use the bathroom, they definitely will be able to. We're asking people to go one at a time so we can just honor that social distancing stuff, pretty straightforward piece. Still making sure that we're, staying socially distanced. You're still in your cohort sections. And somebody had asked like, how big are those? So, our biggest one is 22 and we'll be using the NPR for that room. The smallest cohort is 7. And so though, all of the rest of them are just going to be in classrooms. The one bigger cohort is going to be in the NPR, and that's just so we can spread out and have some room. Let's see, lots of recess stuff. We already answered that. Cohorts, they're going to be separated. We could talk. The cafeteria could be used for a space, but it would be under teacher supervision and wouldn't necessarily be maybe the kind of social stuff we're used to in terms of hanging out, but we could talk about what that looks like or what the possibilities are. The schedule, everybody's in the same cohort, so it's called cohort A, and that's because we're all going to be able to do 4 days a week. And so that's the same. The schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesday is going to be an asynchronous day for everybody. And so that's something that will be the same, CDL or hybrid. And let's see, what is reality? I don't know, we're still working on that one. No food in the classrooms, school lasts 2 hours and 15 minutes. At the beginning of the day, like we're talking about, you're gonna come to those doors to screen or go straight to the portables if you have a class in the portables, and that's where you would screen at the station on the way to them. No food. When is everything going back to normal? Man, I wish I could tell you. Hopefully by the fall, it'll be more normal, but it really depends on the numbers and how everything's going. And it's going to be based on safety stuff from the Oregon Health Authority and from the Oregon Department of Education. The question around, can I start hybrid later if I don't start right away? So the simple on that one is if there's room, yes. We've asked people though to determine whether or not they're doing it. And so it's not like you can come or you can go or anything like that. It's like in circumstances where we have room and we can make it work, we could definitely do that. But that's something that's a case by case basis. We have to talk to you, your parents, and the teacher. So no, you don't have to go to the bathroom with another person. Actually, we don't want people going to the bathroom with other people. We want them to be solo. Different rules about bullying. Nope, still wrong. It's a little easier when you're 6 feet apart because it's a little harder to have some of the same interactions. What we've noticed so far with PYP is it's different, right? Like you imagine your desks all 6 feet apart, everybody wearing masks, and you're just going to have to. We're all going to have to get used to the fact that the school's definitely a little different, and so not bad, just different. So let's see what else here. Wednesday is almost entirely asynchronous. First period is going to be your specials period. So whatever you had for specials on Wednesday, you're going to do, we're going to try and make that work. So that would be synchronous. And then office hours will be synchronous on Wednesdays as well. So not entirely asynchronous, but for the bulk of it, yeah, it will be asynchronous. What grades will be going to hybrid school? Well, all grades. Yes, kindergarten through eighth grade are all doing that for sure. Let's see what else here. Clubs. So where we can, there's definitely people who still interested in trying to figure out how to do clubs. Teachers who are doing clubs are going to be reaching out and letting people know how that works, because it depends. So some people have more flexibility in their schedules than others, and those people with more flexible schedules have talked about trying to maintain it. I know certain people are wanting to, but as you notice, and I'm going to show you something that'll give you, this is kind of a visual, like we had shown. If you look at this, like the times when we had clubs before, we don't really have that same time. And so it's tricky. And since teachers are both doing CDL now and hybrid, they don't have the same time that they had before. And so we have to work with folks, and where people can do it and are willing, it'll still happen. But for some people, they just won't have the flexibility in their schedule to be able to do it. And so that's going to make it hard for some people to continue. I know that people really like doing the clubs, but it's going to be, a bit of shifting, and we'll communicate that piece to folks. And I also wanted to show like if we did this before around the explainer. So, if you had Mr. Massey third period on Monday and you're in class, 6A, you're going to have Mr. Massey third period for CDL. You're going to have Mr. White fifth period for INS. And then if you come in hybrid, you're going to then have Mr. Massey again for math for third period, and then Mr. White again fifth period. And you would be doing some supplemental stuff. So like have a chance to work, have a chance to get support, have a chance to connect, extend things, that kind of stuff. But people in CDL will still be getting all the core instruction. So they're not going to be missing out on the instructional pieces. It's just they're going to have a chance to get a little extra support or extension around that. Let's see, are there any other questions that I did not? Oh, how many kids? It's about half. So Jamarian, it's a good question. So about half of middle schools coming back. And it's pretty close to the same for PYP. So that's a lot less kids than normal. We have like 170 K5 students in hybrid, and we have a little over 100 MYP students. And so it's about 270 kids, which is less than half overall of our students. So it's definitely a smaller number than we have. Let's see. Oh, thank you for asking the question. So what day are we going back on? So this is starting April 19th, and teachers are going to have a couple of days to work on preparing for this, April 14th, 15th, and 16th. And so you're going to have regular class schedule on the 12th and the 13th. And then 14th, 15th, and 16th, you're going to have asynchronous lessons. And so it's going to be asynchronous work. And then we'll be starting the new regular schedule starting April 19th. Sanitize. So, this is a great question. And I think what we're trying to talk about is like being a good community. So I appreciate that question. If you're the only one using something, it's not super important that you wipe it down, but we are going to be practicing hand hygiene techniques. Everybody, when you come in, we're going to be asking every single person to do hand sanitizer. When you go to the bathroom, obviously do it. And when you go out to break and come back in, we'll have you do it again. So we're just getting into the habit of making sure that people are doing that, because we want people to be safe and we want to be able to keep doing this. So the better job we do at masking up, social distancing, being responsible, being smart about this, the more likely we'll be able to keep doing it. Access to gender neutral bathrooms. Yes, there already was one upstairs. So basically upstairs by the library, by those bathrooms, there's what used to be an adult bathroom, but it's now just a gender neutral bathroom. And it's, so you open it and then it auto locks, or you can lock it so anybody can get in. So there's one right up there by the middle school classrooms. And then if people need it, we can access other ones downstairs if necessary. Um, Interesting question. So this one, can students who are not in hybrid join hybrid instruction virtually in the afternoon? So this would be an up to your teacher kind of thing. For most teachers, they're not, they may choose to like open a class call and be able to have people jump in to ask questions or whatever, but that's a teacher thing. And it would be a little tricky for some folks. They may feel like it might be hard to manage that. So it's not going to be how it's set up. But if that's something teachers want to do, they definitely can do that. They could do something like that if it worked for them and it worked for their students. Let's see. Somebody was saying something about the order. If you all try, when you add these, definitely try and put them to the top so I can see like who's putting it, because some of the order is a little goofy. Let's see, August, gonna learn, or is it just for social interaction? I think it's definitely going to be some of both. We're not just having you to have social interaction, but obviously because you're going to be here, there will be some social interaction, but it's going to be different because we're socially interacting from a distance. So it's not the same as what we've done in the past. So just something to be clear on, but I know that teachers will obviously be working to do that. Can you bring your own hand sanitizer? If you have like a little thing of hand sanitizer, you could, but you won't need to. We have lots, including, check this out, supersized 1 gallon pumpers. So there's no shortage of hand sanitizer for people who need it. Let's see, anything else that we're missing here? Oh, which classrooms will each group be in? Hold on, let me grab that. It'll take 1 second. I'll be right back. Actually, I think I can just pull it up on a sheet. So hold on there. So we're going to have, here, I'm going to stop sharing this while I look for this so you don't have to look at my messy desktop. So 8CP is going to be in the NPR. 6A is going to be in Mr. Johnson's classroom, 6B in Mr. White's classroom, 7CP1 in Mr. Crossman's classroom, 7CC in Mr. Perry's, 7CP2 in Mr. Massey's, 8CC1 in Ms. J's, and 8CC2 in Ms. McKenzie's. And we'll help you understand where those are. For the students who've already been here, you know where some of those classes are, but some of those are a little different than what you've done in the past. And so we'll definitely share that. But we were trying to, kind of match things, obviously with grade level and teacher, but then also with numbers. So, we use bigger classrooms for the bigger groups. So that's why like 6A is in Mr. Johnson's, because that's a little bit of a bigger group. So let me see if there's any other questions that we didn't get to. Link the weekly schedule. Yeah, we'll share it. We'll push it out to you all. I'm not going to put it in this thing right now because we want to make sure the teachers look at it to make sure I didn't mess anything up, because this is stuff that we're all putting together quickly. There will be able to go outside. So the transition we're talking about from 1:15 to 1:30 is going to include everybody going outside. It's going to be a little different. Like we all can't just hang out together because that's not going to work, but we'll definitely get outside, get a break. And then be able to, then transition. So your teacher will come. So if it was Mr. Massey, the next teacher who has you is going to come and then switch groups. So you go back to the same room. Got it. So after school lets out in the afternoon. So we're not this. Thank you for asking the question. So when the day's over, we're actually asking people to leave, because what we know clearly is that when people hang out in groups, they tend not to socially distance. And so if you have people that are in your bubble, like your family, they're with you, like we're asking that people go home. And if you want to hang out, like go do that outside of school so that we can make sure, because if what what happens is a bunch of people are doing stuff where they're not doing social distancing. It's going to put us in jeopardy of being able to do what it is that we're doing around hybrid. So we need your help with that. And I know that's hard because I know y'all haven't been able to hang out together a lot and that you want to be able to, and I totally respect that. But it's just something where we're going to be jeopardizing our ability to do this if people aren't going to be doing that. So you're going CDL in the morning, computer based, just like you've been doing. And then in the afternoon, 12:15 to 2:30, those doing hybrid will be coming to school for hybrid. That's not an everybody thing. It's just the people who are doing hybrid. You do bring your Chromebooks if you have them. We need to make sure that people have access to them. We'll have some here on campus, but we don't have a ton because when this all started, they took every single Chromebook from Vernon so that we could hand them out to the district so that people who didn't have them could. So they're going to give us some, but we need to make sure that, that we've got that. The workspaces are going to be 6 feet apart. So your seat to the next person's seat is going to be 6 feet. And we actually went out with the tape measure and measured all this. So it's not like we guessed it, like we literally measured. So yes, there'll be definitely be socially distanced. Same thing around masks. We really need to make sure that people wear them. Also, it'd be awesome to bring a water bottle. It'll just be a lot simpler if you do feel like or need water to manage it that way. If you just bring a water bottle with you, it'll be a lot simpler. Your own devices. So here's the thing. The rule in the past has always been the same with this, which is off and away or on an academic. So phones, if we follow past practice, and we'll check with staff around this, the time at which we let people use their own devices was at recess. And since we're having a transition break, it's not going to give me any heartburn, and we'll confirm this with teachers. But here's the deal. It will mean that you're responsible for it. And then if people don't manage it, that would be something that could be a privilege that they would go away. But for the last couple of years, we've done that and it's worked just fine. So as long as you're respectful and understand, like, we're not trying to have people sitting there on phones in the class, like that's not the deal. They're off and away in the classrooms because we're doing academic stuff, unless your teacher has you doing, like, I don't know, maybe a Kahoot and you don't have a Chromebook, but you want to do it on the phone and they say it, that would be an academic purpose. And that would be something that would be approved from the teacher. But other than that, they should be off and away. And then out at recess break, that would be something that would be okay. So if you, depending on the class you're in, if you have to have a computer that needs to be plugged in and charging, there is a possibility to do that, but we probably would try and get you in onto one of ours so that you don't have to be tied to a cord all the time, because depending on the room you're in, that may be harder than others. Let's see. Anything else? I think we've got the bulk of the questions. So, I mean, I'm happy to answer any other questions, but it looks like we've got to them. So if there's any others, I'm happy for people to post them. Teachers, jump in on that too. If you're on, you're welcome to post them. You guys can also shoot me an email if you have a question or you need anything. We are, you know, the K5 stuff's been going on now for a little bit, and it's actually been pretty smooth. It's quiet. It's, you know, just imagine, I mean, we were used to having almost 600 kids. And so 170 feels a lot smaller. So definitely something where it's a lot quieter. Who's in Maryland? That's a long way away. So, and the other thing too, because we'll make sure your teachers are able to talk to you about any more questions. If anybody doesn't have any questions, definitely you're free to go. Middle schoolers and Padlets. This is fun. All right, folks, feel free to head out for lunch or recess if you want. I'll hang out here for a few more minutes if anybody has any questions that they want to put on the Padlet. This is actually a low number of tabs for me. I don't even think I have 50 open. You think it's too many tabs? Oh, I have a question for anybody that's still on. We're talking about doing a sort of potentially doing a sort of virtual field day. So we may be talking to you about that. It actually, there's some kind of cool ways to do it. I think Mr. Rittman might have some experience with doing this. So we'll definitely connect with some folks around that. You're coming back to school April 19th. If you're hybrid, that's when hybrid starts. You will still be doing CDL between now and then, and starting then, the schedule will look like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and it will look like this. So you'll have your, like you did before, CDL schedule will look very similar. You'll have a transition time between 11:30 and 12:15. 12:15, you would then mirror the core periods that you had that day. So you would have two, and there's a transition in between. So, oh, and I'm sorry, this time, that's actually, this is 1:30 to 2:30. Sorry about the time on that. I'm glad somebody, yes. So it's 12:15 to 2:30. Only 5 to 10 tabs open at once. It's all right. You'll have time to be more tab experienced like me by the time you're an old dude like I am, or an old woman. And so you can get more used to having tabs. This actually works for me. I know what all these are, believe it or not, strangely enough. All right, folks, I'm going to head out. Don't see any more new questions for people. Thanks for coming. If you have other questions, you can shoot an email our way. Ask your teachers in class. You can keep adding to this list. We'll definitely have an FAQ, and we have a little schedule explainer that we're going to be sharing with your families too. So we wanted to do it with you first because we figure having middle schoolers be the experts is good since you're the ones going to be doing it. So have a great afternoon. Thanks all.